What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Shocking Developments. I'm back with my buddy Andy. We're taking a look at the second, well, not the second part of the conferences, more our second episode of conferences. And today we're looking at Sony and Ubisoft. Oh, Andy, what did you think of Sony just before we start? Did you think we really got much out of that?
I know you're only asking me this because I played a PlayStation. So.
You are our resident PlayStation fan.
Yes, and I tried to be as unbiased as possible, but unfortunately, it wasn't quite the show I was hoping for.
No,
it was.
That is concerning.
It was, I believe. So I slept on it. We watched it that morning, shall we say? It was 2:00 in the morning.
Yes, it was, and that is not something I'm going to forget anytime soon.
So we watched it that morning, and I have to admit we were all pretty disappointed. I think me, you, like myself, you, and Paul. We all watched it, and by the end of it, we was like, well, you know,
is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did we watch that? So I slept on it, and I've actually thought about it, and I'm convinced that they did the right thing. I'm
okay.
So it wasn't a great show. It was nowhere near Bethesda. Bethesda put on a show, but
yes, we already got your Ascended card for Bethesda.
Or my very rare that doesn't exist yet.
Yes, well, I've put the question. In fact, at the time of recording this, the part 1 with Microsoft and Bethesda is uploading as we speak, and it poses the question, which is, do we need an ultra rare shark card?
But yes, anyway, so I'll stop beating around the bush. Yes.
Yeah. No, well, I'll tell you what. I'll take us through it. You know, same as last time. Let's get right into it. Let's not talk about the weird start with the banjo and the church. Let's just go Last of Us 2.
Well, yeah. So the banjo and the church was obviously to do with the scene that they set in
to get the ambience. Yeah, set the stage.
So you
set the stage.
As I said, Sony was more of an experience, I believe, if you was there. I think they were trying to do something special for the crowd at E3, which unfortunately doesn't translate well when you're...
No, it's not very good for us. The intermissions were astonishingly bad.
Yeah. But yes, Last of Us 2, something we've all been waiting for. We've known it's been coming for a while, and I don't know. It looks like this time it's going to be the story of Ellie.
Yes, Joel's definitely going to take a backseat if he hasn't been killed off screen.
Well, I say you've seen him in the teaser trailer, so he's definitely still around.
But what's his role? That's the question on everyone's mind. I think we're definitely getting the Ellie experience, and that's inevitably going to spark up SJW debates once again. Oh, we're playing as a woman again. We're forced to play as a woman again. But you know what? I think with The Last of Us, they should struggle to find any kind of aspect to it that employs SJW tactics, because Ellie has always been in the game.
She has always been in the game, and she had her own sequence in The Last of Us, if you remember. She had her own DLC, yeah. And you played as her through the shopping mall. She kind of remembers her, or she plays through her past with her friends. I
still haven't finished that game.
Am I going to spoil this for you?
No, it's all good. I've probably heard everything at this point.
Yeah. So you basically find out Ellie had a friend who I think she was part of the Fireflies, or she was trying to be part of the Fireflies, and it kind of comes round to how she discovered she was immune, in a sense.
Yes.
So she had been bitten weeks before the events of The Last of Us, and it was only found out through her and her friend going to the shopping mall, wandering around, and then getting bitten themselves. Her friend unfortunately doesn't make it, but she obviously has some kind of immunity to it, and that leads up to the events.
Exactly. So essentially, we know already that whether to be forced to play with her is something to be debated or not. The point is, if the game is focusing on her, slightly older her, I would say, then we can't really complain, because she has been an integral character.
She's not your...
And
Yep.
her story is important.
I was going to say, she's not your average everyday girl, is she? She's not someone that you could say, oh yeah, she relates to someone of current times, because they have done a brilliant job of playing out how she's grown up in this world that has been overrun by monsters and zombies and stuff like that. That she's only accustomed to that life. She has no real recollection of what happened before. Whereas, Joel was there when it happened. He lost his daughter. He was speaking about things in The Last of Us that was before the incident, and Ellie has no idea. Like, she had no idea about boys, like relations and stuff like that before the incident. And it basically does mean that she's not accustomed to, your average female character. She has her own personality, and it is shaped by the world around her. So
exactly.
To make a comparison from her to an average female character, you just can't. She's got a completely different mindset.
She's been well written. I think she'll be a good, if indeed it is that she's to be the starring character of The Last of Us Part 2, and I suspect she is, then I think it'll be fine. And I think she'll be a good character, and it'll be a very compelling story. And it's Naughty Dog. We know we're going to get a good game. We're now at the point with them of how good will the game be?
And this is it. Also, multiplayer. I did like the multiplayer.
Right up until they started adding things.
Don't get me started.
We'll never forget that video.
I still have the video, and I can post you a link if you like, so you can view it at any point, but it is not on my shown videos at the moment.
It's in your hidden ones.
It's still there. It is still there.
Basically, my lovely viewers, Andy took it quite personally after his multiplayer binging left him wondering why people could just splash a bit of cash, get scopes and other bits for their weapons, and have such an amazing advantage in competitive multiplayer. And let it be known here that our friend was not happy about that.
I went so dramatic.
You did indeed, but it was great to see that passion. That's what we want from gamers. We want to see passion.
It was like a death scene in Shakespeare. It was so
okay. So we're happy with The Last of Us 2. Not a bad start. Obviously, the circumstances in which it had been revealed, then the whole barn church thing, I wasn't sold. But obviously, if I had been there, maybe it would have been a bit different. Because when we had to sit there for 15 minutes waiting for them to get shepherded into the next room, well, that was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. But during that time, obviously, we did get to have a glimpse, a very strange trailer in which Destiny 2's Forsaken DLC was showcased, and they showed a cinematic trailer of Cade being executed by the missing brother from Destiny 1. What about that?
That I don't know if I blinked at that point, but I must have been making a drink or something. As you say, you had 15 minutes to kill, and you think, they're just gonna, talk over this whole movement thing. But yeah, it's a strange thing. I followed Destiny all the way up until was it the Forsaken King or no.
The Taken King, which was incidentally of the previous Destiny DLC of this nature. The next year £40 DLC comparatively would have been the Taken King.
Yeah, see that's where I dropped out. That's where Bungie lost me. I was a
bit too much money.
I just didn't get it. You paid out for a game full price. I must add.
It's not like Destiny was free to play.
No. I paid out full price for when it released, and I enjoyed it right up until the point that the story stopped, which was very quickly. Very, very quickly.
So you won't be rushing out to grab Forsaken then?
No. I will wait until Destiny 1.5 turns into Destiny 2.
Oh wow! Okay, brutal. Okay, well they did also transition into a little bit of what I thought was going to be Black Ops 4, but it was actually remastered maps from Black Ops that were for Black Ops 3 of all things. It's amazing to think that a Call of Duty game 3 games ago is still getting new stuff.
And the best of it is we got it for free as well.
Yes, a wonderful gesture from Sony, a free copy for PlayStation Plus subscribers of Black Ops 3, and I'm downloading it right now because that's a great freebie by any standards.
I say we've all downloaded it. None of us played it. None of us played after Advanced Warfare, but we've all downloaded it. And
I did go on to Infinite Warfare for a little while, and it was fun right up until those bloody customized weapons started working their way into the whole pay to win thing again. Happens every time.
It does.
Ever since Advanced Warfare, which in itself, until they had those custom versions of weapons that people would splash thousands of dollars on YouTube opening videos just to try and get, well, that's when it kind of lost it for me. And I haven't really had a Call of Duty experience since Infinite Warfare, the campaign at least. I played a bit of the multiplayer, but I really enjoyed the campaign. If you haven't seen my review, I did give it a rare card. Got a bit of controversy there. I gave it a rare card for being a very engaging campaign and very capable multiplayer, but if I were to go back now, I'd probably downgrade it to an uncommon based on what's become of the multiplayer since then. But I didn't get World War II Call of Duty. I wanted to try and stave away from Call of Duty for a little bit, but I found this last year not having a pick up and play 5 minutes spare, have a game, first person shooter has been difficult, and it's made me interested in Black Ops 4, which I didn't really see at all. I was looking forward to Sony perhaps showcasing the whole Battle Royale mechanic, and it wasn't shown.
No, I think this is something they're holding on to. Like a lot of games at the moment, everyone's going for the whole Royale thing. You know, Fortnite and PUBG have had their moment, and H1Z1. They've all kind of got in on this platform.
The bandwagon.
Yeah, they started off the platform, and they're all going, okay, we're making quite good money from this, and everyone else has seen it. You know, the minute Call of Duty knew that sniffed money, they were straight over there. And I was surprised to find out that Battlefield did exactly the same thing.
Well, Battlefield's going to have its own spin on it, and so is Call of Duty. I think that's the reason that 2018 will be fondly remembered as the year of Battle Royale by some people, is because each Battle Royale has done its own thing. Now, admittedly, I've played PUBG and I've played H1Z1, and right now I'm preferring H1Z1 not because it's the superior game, but because PUBG is doing the dirty. It's trying to sue Fortnite.
See, I've heard a lot of things about PUBG. The fact that it just doesn't run smoothly on console, at least. It's not a smooth runner, and I've heard from another Xbox player, funny enough, and he turned around and said H1Z1's so much better. It literally just runs nicely. Like there's no...
It does run very smoothly. I have been impressed. Obviously, if you have an X, which I do, you will get the superior PUBG experience, but I do know that some of my friends on the S or the original do struggle with performance sometimes.
So yeah, they've all hit that bandwagon. They've all seen it. I think they're going to hold off until later on because they know that's the thing that's going to sell it now. They've seen what other companies are doing. They know that's what's selling. So you know what? Hold off. Wait until it's closer to the time, and then we show everyone, get them all hyped up, and then they'll go out and buy it again. It's a very clever market strategy.
And you can see the excitement building around what could this be. I mean, to think, right, the smallest Call of Duty map shipment is still a platform to have your combative multiplayer on. Now, a map 1,500 times that size, that's bigger than any Battlefield map by 3 times.
It's mad.
Insane dimensions.
It's mad.
Insane dimensions. Yeah. And vehicles, naval and air and ground. Call of Duty's never done anything like this.
No, you're right, and I think it's going to be a real test for them. It's going to be a huge test for them.
But if there's any Call of Duty developer that I would trust to actually pull it off, it probably is Treyarch.
They've always been good, haven't they? I mean, between them, Sledgehammer, and see,
Infinity Ward.
Yeah, you can tell I haven't done my homework this time round. Yeah, I would say, yeah, Infinity Ward have been one of my favoured ones because they were the ones who did Modern Warfare, weren't they?
Modern Warfare, yeah.
And Treyarch, I think, was like just behind them.
Well, I didn't like them at first because I wasn't as big a fan of World at War as everybody else.
See, I've only been a fan of them since World War II. I did play that one. Before Black Ops 3, Black Ops 1 and 2 were my... Well, Black Ops 2, I think, and then Ghosts was my favoured Call of Duty
Ghosts
games.
Was Infinity Ward one. Obviously, Black Ops. All Black Ops games are Treyarch games, and the Sledgehammer games that we've had so far are Advanced Warfare and World War II.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Black Ops 4. I am excited about that one. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm excited to see what it does because it's so different. Now, it may just be another Battle Royale, but it's a Battle Royale in first person set in Call of Duty with those beautiful 60 FPS mechanics. It could be great.
It could be great, or it could be another Fallout.
It could be completely shocking.
It could be another Fallout. It's something. Obviously, they've done multiplayer before, but they've never done it on this scale. And it's like Fallout. They've obviously made great games before, but they've never done it online. So it's new territory relatively new territory for Call of Duty.
I don't know about that. Treyarch, they've always, indeed Call of Duty as a whole, online is questionable, like dedicated servers, host servers, but they know what they're doing in having an online environment, but such a large scale. It's never been seen by Call of Duty, so we'll definitely look forward to seeing how that turns out. And speaking of games and how they're turning out, I'm very impressed by the beautiful Ghost of Tsushima.
Is it Tsushima or Tushima?
I think it's Tsushima.
T silent. I'm looking at it here.
You can call it whatever you want. I've heard so many people call it different things. I'm going to go with Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, well then I'll say the Ghost of Sushi is definitely... it's definitely...
beautiful game.
Yeah, it is. And as I said, kind of stereotypical of Sony. They loved their RPGs, and I must admit I am intrigued because it is very much just a pure.
It's got some Assassin's Creed vibes. I thought.
I thought it was literally just Samurai Simulator.
Obviously, we got to see a conflict, someone betraying someone else, and them dueling almost to the death, and then forgiving each other. What was that about? What are we meant to take from that?
So, from obviously Asian culture, a lot of battles are fought.
It's all about honor.
It is honor, yeah. They're fought upon honor, and obviously you don't forget your friends. Basically, I think that's the philosophy behind philosophy. But if you obviously wrong someone or you betray them, there is that, I could kill you for this. But then at the same time, it's also a case of, we stand by each other. Yeah, we stand by each other. I have to teach you a lesson. Basically, it's like, you've done me wrong. Backhand to the face. Okay,
here have a katana to the face.
Yeah, don't do it again.
But yeah, so that's one that obviously is going to be a mainstay when it eventually does come out. It's going to be, I suspect, another God of War, not necessarily in its quality, but in its perception by the PlayStation fans and how they'll proudly march with it held in the air, the banners, like Ghost of Tsushima, real gaming.
I can get behind that. I think if it follows the same kind of suit, as I say, Sony kind of really goes for the single player experience. Like they want to they want to tell a story, and I think this is where they also headed with their conference. They want to tell a story and they want to do it well. And with all these single player experiences, that's what they do. And there's only ever been a few experiences I've had with single player games from Sony, or that Sony have basically encouraged, that I haven't enjoyed.
Yeah, that's true. Well, speaking of single player experiences, obviously Remedy tried to make a really interesting Xbox exclusive in Quantum Break. It didn't go all too well. The reception was mixed, and it was a very limited game, like this. A game that was beautifully designed but ran on low resolutions because of its ridiculously high impact on processors. Like, PCs were being eaten by this game. It was a renowned GPU killer, and even with all that, the gameplay itself was great fun, but the story left a lot to be desired, and these really cheap video tie-ins with like something you'd see on the Sci-Fi Channel. Not horrible production values, but certainly not something that you would expect from a high-budget game. And I guess I thought there'd be more, and then you actually walk around in the game, and you find yourself constantly encountering invisible walls, constantly like wanting to explore, not being able to, and being land blasted by Nissan product placement everywhere.
Wow. See, I haven't.
Obviously. You wouldn't have done, but you might near enough play it, because what I'm getting at is Remedy's new game Control. It looks like the exact same thing, but for PlayStation.
I say all of us watched it, and the first thing I think that came out of all of us was, are they doing Quantum Break for PlayStation?
Are they doing Quantum Break 2? Yeah, it looks the same. I even decided to watch the trailers side by side on two open windows. It's the same color palette.
Obviously, we all thought it was going to be Quantum Break 2, but just looking at it a little bit more carefully, you see the weapon.
A little more psychedelic.
Yeah, you see the weapon they're carrying. You see the environment kind of changing around them. It didn't seem. Obviously, it wasn't exactly the same as Quantum.
Not so much about time manipulation, more reality manipulation.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's. Yeah, again, it is very much Quantum Break, and as you say, the people who made it, it is its own thing. So I think they've got a bit more where they had to follow kind of like a script in a sense. They had to follow a law with Quantum Break. This time they've broken away from that, and they now have the freedom to do what they want with this one. So I think, it could be much better, and hopefully they have sorted out that pesky GPU problem.
Oh God, it was an absolute shredder. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it, because I was a fan of Quantum Break. I'm just not blind to its faults. Like, so many Xbox players took to the forums to say that everyone was just hating on it because it was Xbox, and there was some truth to that, because anything Xbox releases is guaranteed scrutiny by a combination of gaming media and fanboys. We've accepted that now. That's not something that needs to be discussed. They're just pesky spear fishermen trying to steal our games, so we'll eat them. As Game Sharks, we'll eat them. But I was hopeful that they could do more with it, and I feel like Control could be that more. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one. If it is indeed going to be a complete PlayStation exclusive, it could yet be another example of when Microsoft wrongs a company and they come back to bite them, like really bite them. I don't really know what Microsoft's issue with Remedy was. All I know is that the parting wasn't done on the great terms, so best leave it at that. But things like parting from things, like a lot of people have classic games that they like, classic games that they refer to, and obviously we were a bit confused when we saw the perspective of a rat before it was ultimately revealed that we were looking at a remake / remaster of Resident Evil 2.
Well, see, we had a conversation after, I think, was talking about what had happened with a friend of, and he was talking about Resident Evil, and it turns out, I believe it's actually one of the few first Resident Evil games that I actually played.
All right. I just didn't recognize it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first, I think, 3 Resident Evil games were so similar, in the sense of they were of the same kind of genre, like story wise as well. They were very similar. You kind of follow a young Chris, don't you? And
I've never played a Resident Evil.
Oh, you've not played Resident
game. I've only ever seen the one of the films, and I thought it was pretty bad.
Yeah, no, the games are not to be referenced with the film. The film is completely different, in my personal opinion.
That's fair enough. But something to pay attention to then. This remake.
They had a unique style. It was very much so you've obviously played Metal Gear, where you get the old Metal Gears, where you get the fixed camera in one position of the room, and then you kind of traverse around the room via this one camera, and that was basically it was basically that play style that allowed them to create a sense of tenseness. So you couldn't move the camera around with that view that you had, but it also gave them the opportunity to put things out of sight that would normally be in sight if you're turning the camera. And this is where a lot of game companies now have to write in a lot more coding, because they can't just hide stuff out the way for it to pop out later. It has to be there at that point, in a certain point, so they have to add it in later, and it just makes more coding and stuff like that. So yeah, they got the whole kind of horror genre cornered back then. That they were the big. I think Resident Evil was one of the biggest horror genres of my time, personally.
I always thought they were an action horror series.
Well, yes and no. It depended on how you played. A lot of the time, if you just ran through the game, it was more of a holy crap, I'm being chased by everything. If you actually scavenged and found weapons and stuff, you could effectively take out a few, but it was a lot like a lot of these weapons had like scarce ammo. And the saving system, you couldn't actually save unless you found these ink reels that you put into a typewriter, then you typed up your save, and then it saved that way. So it wasn't like an instant save system. You had to make it to a typewriter, and you had to have a certain item in order to save. It was very difficult, but it was a very interesting way to play. And if you forgot to save your game and you went into the next room and died, you're going all the way back to where you last saved.
That is a pet peeve of mine. I much prefer games that... I wish all games had the Skyrim save system, to be perfectly honest. But, well, speaking of remakes, we have to talk about an omission from the conference that disappointed so many people. The Final Fantasy VII Remake. Where is it?
Where is it, indeed? I was never a fan of the Final Fantasy... Well, I say I was never a fan. I saw a lot of the Final Fantasy stuff, but I've never really played them. I've never played them, so it was.
I played a bit of 15 when that came out. Didn't think too much of it, but I think the only Final Fantasy games I've really put time into would be Revenant Wings on the DS and Tactics on the Game Boy.
Yeah, as I say, it's not a huge loss to me. As I say, I've played a lot of them. So,
but such a renowned game, though. Surely
name.
that alone
name.
would be, yeah, a bit disappointing. I thought for sure it's been years. Why can't we see some of it? All the plans about releasing it episodically and all these hills they've had to overcome, and now it's just gone radio silence.
This is the thing that I noticed another game that I think I mentioned to you a while ago. Deep Silver was creating their second, or was it their third? No, it was their second Dead Island, which was supposed to be based in California or something like that.
Where's Dead Island 2?
Well, it went dark. It decided that it was going to run out of money. And I noticed that they re-released a definitive edition of their first game, and Riptide could have been made into a DLC, I would have thought, but they did change the map quite a bit, and it did have a different storyline, so I guess it was justified in a sense. But they re-released the definitive edition with all the add-ons, going, here, buy this, you replay it all before we release the next one. And they eventually said, oh, right, okay, we're back in production of Dead Island 2, and then all of a sudden, again, they disappeared. I believe money is an issue.
Do you think it's gone this time?
I wouldn't like to say, because I did enjoy the Dead Island
yes, of course,
franchise, and I played both 1 and Riptide. So I would like to see it come out, and I think it was interesting in the way they were doing it, but I don't think they're going to get it off the ground unless they can find another investor who's willing to throw the money at them and go, look.
Well, this is the time of Kickstarter. If people want a game made, they can fund it themselves.
Oh, this is it, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, but it is maybe just getting the game up to a point that it's playable, or up to a point that they're happy with it. You know, it could be a case of they've put a lot of effort into it and they're just not finding their feet, and maybe it is just taking its toll, maybe it's just taking too long. They could be losing heart with it, which would be a huge blow to a lot of people, because I know it is a massive franchise and a lot of people love it. So, you know, yes, the question is, where is it? If you have any information, if you have seen this game, please contact us.
Yes, please contact us. Let's find out where it's gone. A game that was a little more in our face. Trover Saves the Universe, creators of Rick and Morty. Not much else to say about that.
No. I thought it was funny. I liked.
Yeah, kind of quirky.
Humor. I liked the humor. I've seen a couple of Rick and Morty things. I'm too I am to invest in some time into finding out a bit more about Rick and Morty, because it does seem like my kind of thing.
A couple episodes on Netflix. It's funny, but you really have to stick with it to get that consistent humor. Once you're in there, you'll laugh at everything. But when you first try starting it, it's difficult.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Family Guy and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to invest yourself into consistent episodes. Like if you just watch one episode from season 12, you'll go, pfft. But if you watch, say, half of the season, you'll get into that mindset. You'll accept that humor, and it'll be funnier. And that's very much how Rick and Morty is. But something that wasn't funny and was deeply disturbing on so many levels, and so incredibly weird and cryptic, and it's almost made me angry by how much I want to know more about it, is obviously Death Stranding.
I'm literally holding my breath at the moment. I don't I don't know where to start. So
it's a weird one. It's a weird one. We have nothing to go on other than the addition of Leia Sado from 007 Spectre and Mission Impossible 4. We don't really have much to go on. He's got a baby in a pouch on his chest that is a weapon? What?
Right. So this is my mind going into what is it? Metal Gear. So I'm basically going to step into the boots of Kojima, and
you're going to see something bizarre that can't be explained.
The thing. So I'll start from the beginning. The baby I don't know whether it was a womb or whether it was still in that kind of jar thing that he was carrying around. The way you just you just basically see this baby's backside, and then it turns around and gives you the thumbs up. I didn't get it.
Are babies an energy source? Are we going down that creepy fucking way?
Well, yeah. So, as I say, I'm going to step into his shoes and I'm going to say, okay, this is Kojima's mind. He has done so many things with the Metal Gear series, and so many clever things as well. I mean, from the PlayStation perspective, you had a character that you played against called, what was he? Psycho Mantis. And he, in a sense, could wipe your save file from the game. So you'll be playing your PlayStation on the original PlayStation. You would have your 8 megabyte memory stick in the game, and the best way to basically beat him or not have him, read your mind, is to remove the memory stick and also take your PlayStation controller from port 1 and plug it into port 2. Otherwise, he could read your every move. And that, for me, at the time...
What?
Did you not know this?
I've heard rumors about this stuff.
It was a true thing. So Psycho Mantis, in this specific part of the game, he could wipe your save file. So the idea was to take your memory card out of the PlayStation and remove it completely, so he couldn't, destroy your progress.
What a weird idea.
It is, but this is Kojima, and he was so clever. And the idea was you took, so if you was plugged into port 1 with your controller, he could read your every move. So the game would see what you're doing, and he would react accordingly. So you took your controller out of port 1, put it into port 2, therefore he couldn't read your mind. He didn't know what you was going to do next. And that was the whole sheer cleverness of Kojima. So he's got weird ideas. I mean, the Metal Gears after that weren't so impressive because there wasn't as much to do. I mean, I think it was Psycho Mantis makes another appearance, and he tries to read your mind, and all you see is flashbacks of the old PlayStation with the memory cards, and he's going, what is this? I can't understand. And he basically just fails. He managed to incorporate the old Metal Gear with the new stuff, and I think he was basically saying, okay, this is the end of me playing my tricks on you, because technology has come to a point that I can mess around with it as much.
Well, I mean, I have faith that it'll be, if nothing else, it'll be a one kind of, like, I don't even know how to process this. It'll be a unique experience.
So from the footage I've seen, it looks like it starts off as a very kind of passive game from what I've seen. There's been two trailers that I've seen. The one where the fella is running around with the baby in the jar, and he goes into the tunnel to escape this, like, entity, the shadow things, the entity, and they're all carrying guns and that, and it looks very military, very kind of action-like as well. But then you see the gameplay trailer, and it's Norman Reedus with this, again, with the baby in the jar, and he seems to be in a very passive kind of mode of the game.
It's like, this is everyday life. What is everyday life? What is this?
Well, he's wandering through areas and stuff like that. There's just nothing going on until, of course, he kind of wakes this baby up, and then it powers this machine that maybe it's only the babies can sense this entity, and he has this device that the baby kind of powers or uses to sense these and where they are.
Well, it'll be one to watch for at least another E3, possibly two. Speaking of two, Nioh 2 didn't bother with the first one. Do you know much about Nioh?
I'm afraid not. It's another one of those samurai games. Correctly, I
heard it was meant to be samurai version of Dark Souls.
It probably is. I say I have seen it. I've seen like art and stuff from a lot of people that have followed the franchise, and it looks good for what it is. I mean, if you followed that franchise, you're probably going to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
The first one, gameplay looks familiar. The setting is again familiar. It looks like it's a continuation. It doesn't look like it's gone to be something completely different like a lot of franchises have done. They're forever changing, where this kind of looks like you're going to see a familiarity, if I pronounce that right.
Yeah. Well, I guess this whole conference was about showing a few things that were new and showing new things of games that we've already seen. So a fitting way to close the Sony conference was with Spider-Man. Yeah. Nostalgia overload.
All
those classic characters. But I have to admit, the one thing that was going through my mind when I saw this new gameplay was Batman Arkham Asylum. You know, it's just it's hard not to make those comparisons. Obviously the gameplay is a bit different, but he's dealing with old famous villains that he's dealt with in the past, and he's a slightly older Spider-Man, and it's a little bit like, I've been here before. I've seen this before. And
it's Spider-Man 2.
I don't know. it's I like Spider-Man, but I'm thinking this game is one that I'm more happy to watch other people play, because I get the feeling that I'll buy it and I'll run around in the open world for a bit, having fun with all the different traversal mechanics and fight mechanics and just the speed of it all. But it'd probably only suit me for about 5 to 10 hours, and then I'd be done with it.
So yeah, I'm probably sitting on the other side of the fence of this, because I played Spider-Man 2. I enjoyed Spider-Man 2, which now obviously are potato graphics compared to today's powerhouses of games.
Yes,
but it was the comical humor. It was the again, as you say, it was the traversal, swinging around Manhattan and places like that, that really gave Spider-Man its, it gave it its appeal. That's it. That's exactly the word I was looking for. And yeah, it's hard to say, because I was a fan of it, and I think I still am. But as you say, I can understand where you're coming from, that it's too familiar. A good example recently was Burnout Paradise. I was all for it, and I've completed.
You were not shutting up about it. Every day at work, Burnout Paradise. Burnout Paradise.
Yeah, and I did it. I went and did it. I went out and bought it. I played it, and to be honest, I got to the end of it a lot quicker than I was hoping to. And it
now you're kind of done with it.
It is done. It is done. I mean, I looked back at my trophies. I platinumed the first one in just about a year. This one I platinumed in 2 weeks.
Just about a month.
it was literally 2 to 3 weeks.
Is that your skills, or has it been dialed back?
It hadn't been dialed back. If anything, I think they had made it harder to complete. But I think, obviously, again, as you say, as you get older, your reactions usually get slower. But it was a case of you.
I don't know where you're going with that.
We're getting old, man. We can't. Competitive is not exactly a huge thing for us now.
My MLG days of Gears of War seem to be in the past. But occasionally I'll find a game that I'm genuinely pretty formidable at for a while, and then I'll meet a kid who's about 9 who'll just take me to the cleaners.
And yeah, this is the thing. Of it's very familiar. I will enjoy it. I'm talking about Spider-Man now. I will enjoy it, but is it too familiar?
I was going to say, were you going to enjoy being beaten senseless by a 9-year-old kid?
It's just too familiar.
Oh, they're so good.
It does bring up the question: is it going to be something that is too familiar that I'm going to be able to play it and go, yeah, this is how I do this is how I do that. I know what skills I want to use because I've done it before, in a sense. Or is it going to be, yes, it feels familiar, but oh my god, it is completely different. I've got to learn something new. This is going to take me more than 2 weeks to get around, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's obviously ideally. I mean, ideally what you would want from that kind of experience, and hopefully it's big. I mean, the hype around it is huge, and it comes out this year, pretty soon actually. So we'll know soon. So let's give Sony a shark card, shall we?
Shark card, Dave. I'll give him a common.
A common.
A common.
Oh wow. It
would have been more. As I say, my view towards how their conference has gone, I understand what they did. They announced everything early, because a lot of things people do is they complain that their footage, they're going, you're showing us all these trailers and there's no game footage. So Sony went, okay, we're going to call your bluff on that one. They literally announced everything before E3, and then they show just gameplay, pure gameplay, and everyone's gone, there's not enough content. It's like, what? Where do you go from there? Where do you get off? So, but yeah, I would have preferred, personally, of a few more announcements. Something to look forward to. But I agree with what they've done. The way they planned it, they executed it well, and for that, I commend them. For sheer personal reasons, the lack of kind of some of the content that I would have liked to have maybe, just
you want more new stuff, maybe
little tidbits. I mean, even if it was just like teaser trailers, I would have been happy. I think I could have gone to a rare from there, but it just didn't seem to hook.
You would have gone more uncommon than
uncommon.
Yeah.
Sorry, pushing the rare, more uncommon.
Pushing the rare.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I'm mainly an Xbox man, but as a PlayStation owner, I have to admit I'm pretty disappointed too. I feel like I've seen this conference last year. I feel like what was shown is new, but the grand reveals, Control, Resident Evil 2, Nioh 2, it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough for me. When you think of the standards that Bethesda set beforehand, it was just a bit of a setback. I'm not going to be as critical because I don't think I have the right to be, not being a main Sony man. I'm going to go for an uncommon card.
Uncommon. Fair enough.
So, pretty disappointing all round for Sony. Why don't we just breeze right on into Ubisoft? And if you don't mind, I'm just going to skip past Just Dance 2019 because why?
That was just an acid trip of an introduction.
That was so weird. Starlink looks like another Skylanders where you just go out. It's just there so that people buy toys so that they can have things in game. And I'm not saying I'm against the idea, and I like the idea that Ubisoft are once again working with Disney. Not Disney? Are working with Nintendo to bring Star Fox into it, because I think he'll be quite a popular character to have in there. But again, Starlink could be really fun and really cool. I just can't get over the whole gimmick of buying toys, so I need to do more research on Starlink and find out more about it. Trials, we've been there, we've done that, we've seen it, we've kind of bought the t-shirt, but it's an accessible game. It's kind of fun, and it occasionally pops up for free on Xbox Gold or PlayStation Plus, versions of it anyway, so we know what you're going to get there. Why don't we really start with Transference, a horror VR game?
So we've seen the VR game, horror style, come from Resident Evil. And they know how to make a horror game.
Yes.
As we've seen from the the announcement of Resident Evil 2. But yes, Transference. It's new. It's different. It's someone that I've not encountered before, and I'm intrigued. I don't know if I'll get it because I'm not the biggest horror fan. I've played horror games. I did enjoy them, but I don't go out of my way to purchase them. But I can appreciate them. Like I've seen other people play them. And
I'm too much of a chicken.
Well, yeah.
I'm much too much of a chicken.
I've heard you in some of the reveals going, oh my god, no. I
no, big snake, can't handle that.
yeah. I've got the feeling horror and you don't mix.
No, we don't. Alien Isolation and I tried and failed to get along, but hang on. Yeah, no, Alien Isolation I tried and failed to get along, and Outlast 2, less said about that the better, I think. I'm a chicken.
Outlast.
I'm a chicken. I'm a scaredy shark. I'm a scaredy shark.
Outlast I played, and Outlast Whistleblower are the two main ones I played. They were good. But yes, Transference, from what I can remember, I didn't take any notes from this one, but it is the story of a father and a child, and it seems to be that the father is having some kind of confliction in his brain. The child asks the father, why are you doing this to us? So obviously it's not going to be a kind of, in real life kind of situation. It is going to be... It's
got a bit of a Shining vibe to it.
Yeah, something that takes place in the mind that, it's not necessarily real, but obviously things that have happened have brought it into the real world almost kind of thing. So the struggle for that character is probably going to be the realness of it.
Probably the center point of the main story, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've already touched on The Division 2. Obviously, showed it again, talked more about it. Are we still pretty set on our opinion for Division 2 from what we said before?
As long as they don't go for the Dark Zone kind of approach to it, I am happy. If they want to improve upon it, I'm all for that.
Yeah, a better game is never a bad thing. So yeah, if you want to find out more about what we thought of Division 2, just check out the Microsoft Bethesda conference review. I guess then we'll lead into Skull and Bones. I know you were really excited about this last year.
I am, or I was, I must say. I haven't changed my mind too much, but it does look like there's a lot more to it now than what was first mentioned. So
yes, you get out of the boat and dock and things like that. You can have a little walk around, not unlike Black Flag.
Yeah, I'm not knocking that bit at all. The idea of upgrading the boats and stuff is good.
Yeah.
It's given me a little bit of Dark Zone vibes because you can go after these. Yeah, you can go after these ships, and you get attacked by basically pirate hunters. Now, the idea is to either run away or take them head on. And usually with pirate hunter ships, they are fast, maneuverable. You're screwed if you're on your own. And the idea was you call out to these other players who, if they answer your call, can help you out. So you all basically gang up on this one ship that, it will take a beating to... it's probably going to take a bit of a pounding to get through, but at the end of it, you get your loot. You was the one who attacked it, but obviously the people who've come over to help you, they're going to want something from it too, aren't they? So they have the option to actually go for you and take whatever loot you was going for in the first place. So that
Pirates.
Kind of. Well, piracy.
Not unlike Sea of Thieves. Because when Sea of Thieves actually involves you with dealing with other players, like to do a raid or something, you really will have to either share the spoils or fight to the death over them.
Yeah. So I'm not against it, but it is again that kind of here we go. Someone's going to come along and go, oh yeah, we'll help you,
steal all our stuff.
Yeah. It's not something I'm a fan of, but I am a fan of the whole piracy thing. So I will go with it. I will see where it takes me, because I did enjoy the whole sailing, and I would love to sail with a group of people. I don't think it's something I'll do too much on my own.
No, single player, no. Multiplayer, yes. I think my issue with it, from what they've shown, is the repetitiveness.
Yes.
More speed, Mr. Mercy. We need more speed, Mr. Mercy. Mr. Mercy, more speed. Literally, we heard this about 70 times. In one like 20-minute clip of gameplay, we heard this same line of dialogue over and over and over. And plus, during the combat itself, like, the cannon firing is amazing. It's so impactful and heavy and rich. And then what happens is you just get close to the damaged boat, hold down A, and watch your cutscene of the exact same thing. Guy gets kicked in the face, falls on the ground. Two guys in the background lift the chest. That's it. Every time.
Yeah, it's going to be... I think it's going to have its limitation. And from what they've been saying, you can't expect too much from a game that literally just does involve you steering a boat. Yes, the... going onto an island to maybe accept quests, you wouldn't like to, and stuff.
Of course, to get quests and that, but you wouldn't like to manually board the boats? Kill people by hand?
Yes, I would, but it kind of brings in the thing. Then they have to basically redesign the game, because they have to make it that you'll play as a character. And then that character has to be able to move freely, in a sense. I mean, they could do it with quick time events. It's a case of, who's the quickest, or like connection speeds as well. That will come into effect of who wins the quick time event. It is going to be... They would have to design something that would allow you to have free reign of that situation. Whereas if they allow it to be a case of, okay, you've pulled up alongside each other, does it determine how many people you have on your boat? Does it determine how damaged the boat is next to you? You know, is it a case of, you know, percentages? You know, is it a case of percentages who wins that skirmish? Because I have been in the past told that it will be determined by, I believe it is, again, percentages. It's not a guaranteed win. If you board a boat, you're not guaranteed to take control of it. So I think there's going to be a bit of controversy around that. There's going to be a few people going, well, we want to board it ourselves, like yourself. And then there's other people that are going to go, well, you know, I'm happy with the way that is, you know, press a button. But the fact of it can be a win-loss situation, like it's a 50-50. If you get it on, is going to confuse a lot of people.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. It'll probably be a game that will divide opinion based on its simplicity and repetitiveness, so I guess we'll find out. But let's move from there. Obviously, one of the biggest things that Ubisoft are showing off is Beyond Good and Evil 2. I'm confused on how best to talk about this game, because you've got like these aspects of third-person fighting mechanics and aspects of world traversal and space flight and exploration, not dissimilar to No Man's Sky, and all these different mechanics, and some characters are animals. What is this?
So I've not played the Good or Evil franchise. Well, I'd say the franchise.
Nor have I.
The Good or Evil game. But from what I've seen so far, I mean, I haven't seen any footage, obviously. But from the trailers that they've shown and the interaction between the characters, it looks very story driven. So I'm again looking at another single player experience that is probably very kind of light-hearted. I mean, you see the monkey up in the watchtower who's asleep, you know, and the captain of the ship's kind of circling in her own personal cruiser going, okay, we have a monkey down. You know, it does seem like it could be a very kind of light-hearted and very fun kind of single player experience. There's supposed to be a bit of drama in it as well.
Well, and the community getting involved. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, obviously, and his company Hit Record, it encourages gamers to submit music and art and designs, and they could be in the game. They want to make the game so big, they're offering the community the opportunity to add things to the game. How cool is that?
That is very cool. I mean, I'd like to see more of that. Personally, a lot upload images and stuff now. It's become very accessible in games that you can add your own images and stuff to. Like Gran Turismo is one of them, although that's very confusing for me. I tried to upload my own kind of image to Gran Turismo to put my logo from the channel onto the car, and it just didn't work. I couldn't find the right format, and I couldn't find the right program to make that format.
Oh no!
So that was a bit of a flop. But there are other ways to. I mean, Sony's also got the thing where you can put an image onto the app on the phone, and then you can use that as your personal avatar. So if you're friends with someone and you choose to be like close friends on PlayStation, you can actually see their personal avatar rather than their just gaming avatar, which is nice. So there is a lot of ways that it's now accessible to add things into the game, but obviously they want to go that one step further, that they want people to create content, so music, murals, pictures.
Yeah, but I agree. It would be really great if this could take off, because I'm going to just state for the record, I'm going to pre-order Beyond Good and Evil 2, and I'm going to get it day one, even if I'm not 100% sure about what I'm pre-ordering, because I want to support the practices going into the development of this game.
That's very admirable, and not a lot of people would do that. I can safely say myself, I probably won't be doing that because of your reason that you state of wanting to support the practice, which it's kind of bad. I know. I should support the stuff.
No. I'm not trying to get any judgment or high ground on anybody. I'm literally just saying, what a great idea. I'm going to support it just because I want more people to do it.
And this is what I'm saying. I understand where you're coming from, and I really feel that maybe I should be doing stuff like that, because it is the way that developers find out what games people like, and the more people who get behind it, a lot more companies go, that's where the money is. EA and stuff like that. If
obviously
we supported
the money, but obviously the money set aside to share among people whose stuff got featured in the game, so players getting paid as well, potentially not much, but something.
That's a bit of a grey area, because obviously it's paying their content effectively a job, and then there's copyright and everything. So once you give up your content to Beyond Good and Evil, does it effectively become their content? I mean,
well, this is the grey area.
Yeah, obviously they give you the credit for it, but does it become their content? So if anyone else wants to use that image, even yourself, they could basically slap a thing on there and go, no, that's ours, you can't use that.
It depends, I guess, on who submits and what kind of person they are, but there must be fail-safes.
Yeah.
Speaking of fail-safes, let's talk about how there's a game that you really liked, and I didn't think much of at all, and it's getting a sequel that is playing it very safe. Very, very safe, just adding a few new vehicles, and that's The Crew 2. You're going to be beta testing this. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, I've already beta tested it.
Yes, of course.
And I was not impressed.
Oh
no, it was a huge knockback for myself. The first Crew was a pretty decent game. It was very arcadey. There was no kind of realistic driving to it whatsoever. But it did create a small amount of adrenaline rush. There was.
Oh yeah, you got pumping while you were playing.
Yeah, you jostled with the other drivers. You wanted to make it into first place to progress, and The Crew 2 has somehow lost that.
Oh no!
So they went with a really good idea, which is another reason I was kind of to it. They've added new vehicles. They've put in some effort into looking into other genres of racing. So you've got the cross country and dirt. You've got the track racing. You've got the street racing. You've got boats. You've got planes. All things that it covers every base. It's something that you should be able to jump into and go, oh yeah, there's something there for me, or I'll try this and see how that goes. And you jump in, you play. The street racing to start off with is mainly, you do all four in a sense. At the start, you do the street racing, you do the planes, you do the boats. And it kind of like the first race you do is a multi-platform race, and it's okay. It was quite interesting. I did feel like it was a bit too. I would prefer to do a single lap of one race, finish that, go on to the next one. But they kind of mixed it all into one race, and I was a bit confused. So that didn't set me off on a good start. But then they chuck you into this open world where you can choose vehicle you want to use. You can fly around in a plane. You can use a boat to go around the islands and stuff. Or you can just use the car and, drive anywhere you want. And it lost me from there. You can go into events. Please.
Dead on arrival? Nothing to even consider?
It's unless they change the handling. I think it was the handling of the vehicle and the way the races kind of proceeded. I kind of felt like I was racing on my own, even if I didn't get into first place quite a few times. So I don't know whether I wasn't racing competitively, or I just didn't okay, I didn't feel the need to race competitively. And that is something you need in a racing game. You have to feel that want to get ahead of the pack, to get to get across that finish line first. And they offered loot at the end of the race, so there's no kind of paying for it. It's a nice little gesture at the end that you get loot. And it kind of reminded me of Need for Speed, where you'd gain a rarity of items. So like different types of suspension. If you did well, you've maybe got a rarer type of suspension, but I can't put my finger on it. It just didn't seem to land that wow factor, which it kind of was promising.
Well, that's too bad. Well, wow factors and promising games, you can't really think about that kind of game without talking about For Honor. Now, they've been doing a lot of updates, and I jumped onto For Honor myself this morning to see what's changed. Not much has changed to the mechanics of gameplay. It's all very familiar. They're obviously very happy with the way it launched. They've added a bunch of like DLC characters and things like that, and if you have the season pass, you obviously get access to so much more things. But there's a lot of things about the game that I don't like that you can. It even says, do you not have time to play? Use real money to buy steel. And it's like, okay. It even says that. And so I can't help but be a little bit like, For Honor, big update. Yeah, cool, new characters. I like the mechanics. Maybe it's a new mode or two in the future as well. But there's just not a lot of people playing it. And the reason there's not a lot of people playing it, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of people playing it. But compared to when it launched, it's a massive drop-off, because the appeal to just going in and having a duel with another player, or having widespread conflicts with massive sprawling battlefields is fun, but in practice you don't really feel compelled to just keep playing. You have a spell of an hour and then you're good for about a week.
Yeah, this is kind of I think it's the same kind of feeling that gave. You could probably do a race, that would be it. But I played the beta for Honor, along with most other people, and enjoyed it for the first few matches. It was very...
Oh, we lost you there.
I'll start again on that one.
Okay.
So like a lot of people, I played the beta for Honor, and it was enjoyable. I mean, we played a few matches. We had a couple of wins. They were a bit itchy at times. The thing that got me was the non-dedicated servers. They didn't go down too well.
Very laggy.
Very laggy indeed, and I think that contributed to a lot of the dislike towards the actual gameplay on my behalf. But also, yeah, there was a really good concept behind it, and I don't think they landed. I mean, it had a good following to start off with. I know a few of my friends played it, and then came the updates. Yeah, then came the to improve it. So people were saying, "Oh, this character's too powerful. You know, we need that. We need this specific thing.
We need a nerf."
We need a nerf. Yeah, nerf was the biggest issue with that game. But also there was a lot of exploits as well, so they had to change that. And then people went to another character that was just as easy to exploit, and then they had to change that. And it's been a I think a long slog for them to try and get the game to a standard where everyone feels it's fair. And they are probably the worst games to try a game with a class system. Including Destiny, including these other games that have class systems. That is the hardest thing to do, is to make a competitive game fair, because it's not fair. You know, certain abilities are meant to be powerful, and other characters are just weak because of their ability is either too passive or doesn't provide as much protection as the power of the aggressive characters. And it's difficult. It is so difficult to get that kind of game right. And I think that's where a lot of these competitive games go from having a huge following to really quickly losing it as fast as they probably gained it, just because they haven't landed the right formula. I mean, the Overwatch landed their competitiveness because there's a wide array, so everyone has their preferred character, but I think they are quite well balanced. I think I would have preferred Reinhardt to be a bit more tankier. I think they may have nerfed him slightly after the game launched, because I found I wasn't as good with Reinhardt after launch, but that could have just been the players I was playing against.
Well, I think the conference was kind of balanced. I mean, there was some good things, some uninteresting things. Obviously, we're going to pay closer attention to Skull and Bones and Division 2, but and definitely Beyond Good and Evil. But there was one game that absolutely stood out for me, stole the show, even probably made my top 10 most anticipated games of like E3, and that was, of course, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, I know you didn't play Assassin's Creed Origins, but it was a real departure from the norm, but you still had those assassin mechanics, jump on them from the top, and hiding the bodies in the grass, executing people that you've downed, and things like that. And the mission structure and searching for like side quests was done in a Witcher way, but the only thing it was missing was like the choice of your responses, like BioWare style. Like, what would you say in that situation? And I'm delighted to say that has been added to Odyssey. That level of RPG clarity where you get 3 choices or less or more of what to say in response to someone, either leading to conflict or leading to animosity between you and that person, and an ever-changing world set in Greece. And I'm sold. Take my money.
So I noticed a lot of people connect the timelines as well. So they're saying you're going from ancient Egypt to Greece, and they can't quite make the link. There doesn't need to be a link. I think
no, there doesn't need to be a link. I want them to get rid of the Animus. I'm sick of the Animus.
Yeah, me too. I want to know what happened in present day as well. They brought out the thing I think that sold me on the first few games. As you've said, I haven't touched the latest one that's been out, but I will.
It's well worth playing.
I will look to maybe invest into it at some point. But yeah, from the first few games, it was kind of the back and forth between Desmond Miles and the Animus itself, and then slowly but surely, I think that's why I say when I play Assassin's Creed, I play the numeric Assassin's Creed games, so 1, 2, and 3, with the exception of like Brotherhood and Black Flag. Yeah. Because those in their own right were really good games.
Brotherhood was one of the first and only Assassin's Creed games I played before Odyssey. I played Brotherhood and 4.
Yeah. And they kind of just focused on the gameplay of Unity. The Animus. They did. It was another one, Unity. They concentrated on the Animus too much, I think.
Revelations or something like that.
Yeah.
I want them to drop the Animus. I don't want to think I'm reliving this character. I want to be the character.
But this is the whole thing about it. It's playing current day or fictional current day situation, and the idea behind the Animus is to gain information on what happened to the artifacts of those who came before. And this whole thing of using the Animus to find out this information, and this is where I overuse the Animus. I want to see some progression in the modern day story. So what are the Templars up to, or what are they called now? They put themselves under a name, didn't they? But I want to know what they're up to now. I want to know what's happened to the assassins. I know they're kind of...
Do you think we're ready? Do you think we're ready now for that modern Assassin's Creed?
We must be. We're at least 3 games. Well, no, more than that if you include the Chronicle from Assassin's Creed 3. So surely it is time for Assassin's Creed
starting to cut out. This is my laptop's way of saying, all right, enough. But I'm definitely sold on Odyssey, and I hopefully, like you, we will see a modern Assassin's Creed and find out what the hell is meant to have happened with everything and everyone, because clearly there's an end game. So when do we get it? Well, that could be the end of Assassin's Creed games as far as Ubisoft are concerned, so they have to be careful about how they do it. But a shark card for Ubisoft?
Ubisoft, I will give them... It's difficult because there are a lot of anticipated games. I say a lot of... There's at least 2 anticipated games there for me. 3 if you're going to include Assassin's Creed, I think. But that'll come after I've played the last one.
Origins.
I want to go rare.
Rare from you?
Yeah, just for the sheer anticipation of Beyond Good and Evil, Skull and Bones, and Assassin's Creed itself.
You speak in my language. Assassin's Creed, Beyond Good and Evil, The Division 2, Skull and Bones, maybe. I'm thinking Skull and Bones, not so much. Division 2, Beyond Good and Evil, Assassin's Creed. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing out more. I'm totally sold on Assassin's Creed. Can't wait to get my hands on that quite soon. Only a few months. It's early October, and I'm gonna go for a rare as well. I think it was a good conference.
I'd like to clarify with the PlayStation card as well. The fact that the common card was nothing to do with the actual presentation. It's just the way they presented it. I think if they had done better, as I say, I think it would have gone further with the card rating.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm sure there'll be some people who want to point out that I've obviously influenced you in some way, being an Xbox fan, but
my opinion is my own. My opinion is my own.
Exactly. I can't very well force you to say things, but no, I'm glad we got to do this again. Two sets of conferences. It's been a real pleasure to have you here again. Hopefully that when I get back from holiday, you'll maybe sit down for a triple threat of EA, Square Enix, and Nintendo.
That would be good. As I say, it's nice to have someone to talk to about these kind of things.
Well, we're talking to the world right now.
Well, yes, and but to actually be able to sit down with someone and air your kind of concerns and stuff like that, it's really nice. And just as you say, getting to talk to new people, air into the communities, it's going to different communities and seeing how they react to your opinion is just a great way to kind of gain perspective as well.
Well said. Well said.
I do have.
So thank you so much for coming on this yet again. We look forward to your next appearance. Thank you very much, lovely viewers who stuck with us for these 2 very, very long videos. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. If you like to see more of these kinds of videos, or if you'd like to get involved with these kinds of videos, please let me know. I'd be happy to talk to you about doing some shocking developments with the viewers, as well as friends and anybody interested. You don't have to be a subscriber. You can just hit me up. You want to talk to me about something, I'll happily entertain the idea. Again, the question of the day, which is still today, is do I need an ultra shark card? Ultra rare shark card even. And so I think we'll wrap it up there. Once again, thanks to Andy. Go check out his channel. It is awesome. Again, if you want to see how to win at H1Z1, he has got the absolute hook up there. It's well worth checking out his channel and helping me to encourage him to make more videos and really get back on the scene. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you liked it, tear that like button limb from limb. And if you're still a hungry shark, take a big delicious bite out of the subscribe button. See what else is on the menu. Don't forget to chomp the bell as well so that you can be notified of all future content. And if you like this video and you want to see more like it, click right here.